Hello, this is Misty with Freedom Phoenix. And for those of you who have just happened to stumble across my channel, this is a channel I just started not very long ago. Actually, it was on the 1111 portal that I decided to step out of a fear of being on camera and step into all that is me. I am an aspiring transformation coach. I've helped dozens and hundreds of people out there through sideline coaching in the last decade, probably. But it's time to get out of the shadows and stop just lifting others and start really speaking my voice too. And so I really just want to bring into awareness that the world is shifting. I know that every person who happens across this already knows exactly what I'm talking about for you in your life and how that fits, how it feels. As the energies shift into new timelines, we are feeling a lot of foundations that are shaking. Old structures and habits and people that no longer serve us are falling away. And it can be very scary, especially if you're going through a spiritual awakening. Something that I've been going through most of my life, most aware of about 5 years ago. And in 2021, I set out, I got my business license. I was going through a transformation certification course, Reiki healing. I was going through multiple different avenues in order to ensure that I was able to help other people to go through the same things that they're going through now, that I went through, right? The struggles. I mean, you wouldn't know it by looking at me today that I lived in my car twice in my younger years, showered at truck stops, and faced the devil himself, basically, and more people than one. And it came from a place of lack and fear-based programming that I didn't even know that I had, because I grew up kind of a bewildered flower child, if you will, and always looking on the bright side of things and always the silver linings type that, I believe in the good of everyone and everything. And I'm sure that a lot of you feel the same way. What happens is we spend a lifetime falling in love with the potential of something, the possibility of something great, right? We're taught to do that in life in order to see the positive side of things. But, always seeing just the positive side of it doesn't actually give voice to the reality of it. And so it separates us a little further from our true nature and purpose and what it is that we're seeking, because it doesn't feel normal or healthy. It doesn't really exist inside of us. Like healthy relationships, for example. Whenever you grow up with a survival mechanism where, you hear mom and dad yelling or arguing, or, your brothers and sisters constantly leaving you out of everything. It's just conditioning. It doesn't even have to be big traumatic things. It's literally just conditioning in a lot of cases where we have the same thing happening on repeat, and it becomes the way that we deal with that and we process it become our programming for how we operate in life. And that's because at a young age, from 0 to 7, we are attached at our identity level, our consciousness, through our primary caregivers. And so we get a large imprint just from being a baby in a world that requires, others in order to survive, right? We don't actually start developing our own consciousness that comes on board until we're about 18 to 24 months. And so we identify with our primary caregivers during that time. And if they're going through traumatic stuff, you can rest assured that we're going to have some conditioning to unlearn and reprogram and rewire and figure out our own way through things. And I think that's what's happening in a large collective throughout the entire world, is that we're realizing and becoming aware of all of these things that are not sitting right, for lack of a better term. It's like, you know that something is off. You go through the same, process every day. You go to work, you get up and, you go bust ass, you come home, you take care of the house and the kids and, run around and take them to the 15 million different places that they need to go, make sure they're bathed. And then finally you get a shower before you just fall out on the couch. I mean, we live our life in a hectic environment a lot of times because it seems like there's just not enough time in the day. And a lot of that is, in my opinion, because we don't have the right blueprint for it, right? We have evolved. We're not the same person that we were 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And in some cases, in every case, I mean, we're constantly growing. Our cells are constantly regenerating. And we evolve from the people that we were 5 minutes ago. I'm not the same woman I was 5 minutes ago. Shit's changed. Same for you. And as we evolve and we change with time, if our partners are evolving as well on their own personal level, sometimes we tend to kind of drift apart. And drifting apart can feel like there's an ocean between the two hearts that love each other so very much. And that's why it's very important that we stay centered and grounded in who we are and stay true to ourselves rather than putting ourselves last and on the back burner every single day. We've got to find a way that ensures that we come first in a healthy, loving way, not in, a selfish way. But we grew up thinking that it was selfless to help others and to give them the shirt off our backs and to make sure that we take care of family first. Well, what happens when you keep pouring from an empty cup? It's like you're putting fumes out there. And then what happens when there's no more fumes? It chokes and right? You got a lawnmower you just run the gas out of and it chokes and does what? Sputters and shuts off. Well, from experience, whenever we ignore these things, like in 2020, let's see, what year is this? This is the year that I kicked all the meds and lost 40 pounds. Last year was the year that they put me on meds. I was climbing a corporate ladder. I was manifesting my promotion down to the dollar. I had created an entirely new position for myself that was coming through. I mean, I was on top of the world. I was spending a lot of hours doing it and putting my teams, before me and my health. I worked a lot of late hours. A lot of it I didn't get paid for because it doesn't matter why. It was ridiculous. And I basically drove myself into the ground to sacrifice for everyone else, knowing that I was protecting my team and making sure that they didn't get the brunt end of things like I was. I was protecting them from it. And I realize now that it was because I wish someone had protected me whenever I was little. There's an eye-opening for you. Like my coffee cup? It's a Christmas present for my daughter. She's amazing. We take care of the world in the way that we wish the world had taken care of us. And that's why it's so hard when people that we love don't love us in the way that fills our cup. Because it's up to us to fill that cup inside with the things that make us feel alive and loved and whole. Because it's kind of like when two worlds collide, if you're not whole, what happens when parts collide? They collide and it's a mangled mess, right? But I do believe that when two whole worlds collide, they do this little bounce and bounce, and they keep going and going and going. It's like, I don't know. That was in one of my dreams not too long ago. It's kind of odd. I love it. It's beautiful. So I guess really what I'm saying is that for those of you who are spiritually going through an awakening and finding it really difficult to stay connected, it's because we don't live in the 5D world or the 3D, really. We exist in both simultaneously. There's a way to balance that, and it's different for each and every one of us, and it's super important now more than ever as these shifts really pick up speed. In 2024, it's about to really kick off. If you think 2023 was a ride, you just hold on to your hats, boys and girls. It's coming down. Whew. It's big. I can feel whatever it is. So I am an intuitive transformation coach. I've been empathic my entire life. I've been very sensitive to not just feelings and emotions of others, but I really pick up on the subtleties under the surface. So relationships have been somewhat challenging in my life, if you could only imagine, right? But I am proud to say that I've come through it holding on to my faith like a lifeline that tethers me back into reality and keeps my feet on solid ground. This channel, you're going to find a lot of different stuff on it as I navigate new waters to be able to fulfill a mission that I'm called to fulfill here in this world. That's what I came here to do. And man, I got chill bumps. It feels amazing to be able to help others from a place of wholeness. In a place where I have fought fires and come through the ashes and risen like the fucking phoenix that I am, and just grabbed the world by the tail and jumped on to ride the waves. I finally chose me. It took a really long time to figure out that I am the balance in between it all. I am the 0 point. And I found it. And it feels amazing to live a life aligned and true to my true nature and purpose. Because in it, no matter what storms that come my way, no matter what uncertainties lie ahead, I know that I am more than A-okay. And that is what I'm teaching others to find and discover within themselves. So I appreciate that you're here, that you've watched this message, and I look forward to sharing everything that Spirit brings through me, to me. One of the things I want to leave you with, thank you. One of the things I want to leave you with before I go is an experience that really blew my awakening wide open a few years ago. It's wild. I'd been having this dream, and it was just the women in my family. It's super personal here, but for me, it feels really personal. Okay. So this dream took place. I had it a couple of times, kind of like one I used to have whenever I was a kid. Anyway, it was all the women of my family, and we were swimming in the water, and it was like murky. If any of you have seen The Mighty Mississippi, you know how dirty that stuff is, right? I mean, we swam in it as kids, and it was muddy. I mean, you can't stick your hand a foot down and still see it. It was wild. So anyway, it was nighttime, and we were in the waters, and it was like this, how Jaws really builds up that tone and that energy of da da da. Yeah, that's the kind of tone that this had. It was dark out, and you could see that there were lights like off way in the distance, but we were having to get away from the civilization, away from the lights, and it was like we were running and escaping for our lives, and we were in the water, and I was up front. I was leading it, and my mom was behind me, my daughter, and then my grandma. And we were all swimming, and there were more women behind them. I don't remember who all it was. I could tell that there was more presence there, but I cannot tell who was there in our family. I know it was all feminine. But anyway, we were swimming, and I was looking for an escape, and there's like nothing in sight except just water, open water, and they're shark infested, and they had alligators coming, like I could see them. And I turn around, and my mother is punching an alligator away from my daughter. My daughter now is she's she's an adult, and this happened 2 years ago, so she was almost an adult. And anyway, my mother was punching this alligator, and I was like, I got to keep swimming. I got to find, refuge. And I saw this huge cage like bobbing up out of the water, and it was so weird that it wasn't sinking. It wasn't coming all the way out. It just was like right there, like refuge. Hello, we could be safe from all the alligators starting to surround us and really come after us. And I opened it up and I pushed it in and I went in. And as I went in, I noticed that, this big cage was like, the green privacy silt, not silt fence, but like, sorry, the green that they put on construction site fences whenever they're temporary. Well, it was kind of like that at the top. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just grab that. And because they were still swimming and fighting, and I wanted to drag it down to them, right? So I go to pull it down. And whenever I pulled it down, I went to go and pull it down, and all these snakes came falling down all around me. It was, I can still, sorry. As much as I've recoded some fears with snakes, that just makes my skin crawl. So anyway, we get in there and we're trapped, and now I've done it. I thought to myself, Anyway, I woke up about the time that I started feeling trapped, but in that also was the fact that I felt upset that my mother was having to protect my daughter. And so there was definitely something there, and I decided to meditate on that the following day. And I played some meditation tones that I enjoy, and I leaned back and I prayed to God for guidance and just asked him to show me what it is I was supposed to see. And here's the wildest thing I've ever experienced when it comes to my spirituality. Excuse me, I keep getting a call. So I was there in my meditation, and I kept hearing this: remember who you are, remember where you came from. I'm like, remember who I'm me, I'm Misty. And I heard this: remember where you came from. I'm like, my mom? Like, I didn't know. And so in front of me, those dark, murky waters started to part. I shit you not. They literally started to part. And I heard again, as it started to move apart, remember where you came from and who you are. It is not what it seems. And as it started to part, I heard, what would you do if you could do anything? Oh yeah, that's why it started to part, was what would you do if you could do anything? And I was like, I would part the waters. Like, hello. I mean, we would walk through, we would get to where we're going and just walk across point A to B. And so whenever I remembered this whole remember who you are, remember where you came from, kept echoing like somewhere far off in the distance. And as I started to part the waters, the alligators, I could see them in the walls. Like, it was wild. And so I would point at these alligators and I would turn them into water lilies, like little flowers in the water. It was super crazy. Hold on one second. Sorry. And so as I'm walking, I'm joined by this warmth, this bright light, and I cannot describe to you the way I can still feel. I thought it was fingers, a hand, whatever it is, but it was like looped through my arm, and I could still, to this day, I still feel the warmth and the amazingness. I could never see their face, and I was like, I started laughing, and I'm like, you are nothing like what they say you are. And I swear, it was the biggest, booming laughter ever. It was so deep and warm and crazy, just amazing. And that was whenever the padding on my arm was there. And literally the voice said to me, that's because I am you and you are me. And I just was mind blown. Like, so whenever I go to look, which I couldn't see, but whenever I go to look, completely gone. And I look behind me to where the water, where I just walked through parted waters that I turned alligators into, the little water lilies. And I was on the other side. I was on land. I was safe. It was like 2 seconds to cross however many miles of ocean ground that was. It was amazing. And whenever I came to from that meditation, because it felt like a really short amount of time, like 2 minutes, I had tears on my cheeks. And it had been 22 minutes. I will never forget that for as long as I live. And I just wanted to share that with you because I thought it was significant. I was guided to share this part of my story today. So anyway, that is what I have for you today. It's a big, we are not who we think that we are. We are not what we think we are. Our thoughts are distorted because it's based on the experience of this world. We are so much more than any of you give yourself credit for. And I just want you to know that I am excited and I can hardly wait until I get all of this out and ready to bring you guys in to help you to see what your own light is and how to walk home through the path that is already divinely guided. It's yours. It is like your personal code of conduct, if you will. There's a blueprint out there for every single one of us in how to live a fulfilled, whole, balancing life of amazingness. And I just want you to know that I have so much love for each of you out there. And until next time, take good care.